Michaels. This is my persuasive speech for my speech class at Eastern Iowa Community College. Jamie Sheck is my instructor. Are the states and federal government really trying to save lives, or have they come up with another scheme to create revenue at the cost of their citizens? As of July 2010, operators of motor vehicles in the state of Iowa have been able to get pulled over simply for not wearing their seatbelts. While most people believe that seatbelts save some lives, there are also those who believe it should be personal choice. There are even a group of people who think that not wearing a seatbelt can sometimes save your life as well. Now I'm going to talk about a few things today. I'm going to talk about how the law is different now, the revenue created by a seatbelt law, and some of the safety statistics with wearing a seatbelt versus not wearing a seatbelt. Firstly, the law is different because previously it stated that only front seat passengers and those younger than 12 needed to wear a seatbelt. The new law requires that all occupants wear a seatbelt regardless of age or position of the vehicle. And the biggest and most important part of this law is that it gives the law enforcement the authority to pull somebody over strictly for not having a seatbelt on. Where previously you had to be pulled over for speeding or stop sign, and they could also issue you a seatbelt ticket. Now they can pull you over specifically for not having your seatbelt on or not on correctly. Now, this is a big deal because the revenue created by the seatbelt law is pretty extreme. Each individual citation is $25 for the fine and then $50 for the surcharge. In addition to that, the U.S. Department of Transportation can withhold up to $3.5 million in federal funding from states that don't have a law that promotes traffic safety, such as the seatbelt law. This is also corroborated by the Iowa Department of Transportation. Now, statistics straight from the horse's mouth are that the Iowa Department of Public Safety, the 2010 traffic report said that traffic deaths have been declining, but they acknowledge that unemployment and high fuel prices do have something to do with that as well. And despite seatbelt usage, alcohol-related deaths account for about 36% of motor vehicle fatalities. Out of 325 deaths of motorists in the study, 147 of them were belted in. So that's about 50%. This shows that even if you wear your seatbelt, you may have only about a 50-50 chance of making it out alive. So the truth seems to be that while wearing seatbelts is a good thing, they don't always save your life. And my point of this is that if you look at other things in our lives, for instance, smoking is legal, but we know that smoking kills more people every year than people who don't wear their seatbelts. They haven't outlawed smoking, although they made it pretty difficult. In fact, eating at McDonald's, that's not really healthy for you either. Eating at McDonald's isn't against law as of right now. And in the state of Iowa, for instance, there's no helmet law. So motorcyclists don't have to wear a helmet, but you have to wear a seatbelt law. Now this seems very contrary if you're talking about public safety. Does that make any sense that you don't have to wear a helmet, but you have to wear a seatbelt? It all seems to come down to funding and to get money. Now the Department of Health says that seatbelts and seatbelt usage do provide a great safety benefit, but a lot of these statistics, they don't back that up. Now, my question I'm asking is changing law to make it stricter about creating ways for more revenue, or is it actually about public safety? All the statistics show there's some big conflictions here. Even though there is a significant source of a study that shows that seatbelts actually will increase safety as much as they said they will. In fact, I have a little some traffic safety facts here. Now this shows, if you look closer here, at this graph, this here shows that seatbelt usage goes up, fatalities do indeed go down, but they don't go down at a percentage that's equivalent to one another. In other words, seatbelt usage goes up at a certain percentage, but the fatalities, while they do decrease, they don't increase as much as one would believe based on the statistics here. You see this down here? And this shows right here, like the seatbelt use by region. Shows you kind of where in the country. This is the Northeast, who uses seatbelts, the law, how many citations have been issued, so on and so forth. So what this is basically showing you here, from year to year, is that while every state has seatbelt laws in effect, the actual safety varies. So if seatbelts were black and white, they absolutely for sure saved your life, the statistics wouldn't be that different. Although I think you should wear seatbelts, I think more people would agree, I also feel as though it should be a personal choice. After all, as I said previously, smoking, going to McDonald's, drinking alcohol, that's all legal. But all those three things cause more health fatalities than any traffic does. So in closing, my question is this. Was changing of this Iowa law about safety, or is it about generating revenue? And even though there's not significant sources of information about the actual safety benefits provided, is that the way that we want to go, or is it more about, again, money? My last point I'll make is about traffic cameras. We've had a big thing about traffic cameras here in the state of Iowa lately, especially here in my little city. And there's been a big push to get that repealed by the Iowa legislature. That's one of those things, again, where that generates $4 or $5 million worth of revenue a year. And the city government here is talking about, well, if we get rid of those cameras, we'll have to come out, we're going to have to slash our budget in half. My thing is, if it's really about safety, should those things be factored in? Should we be counting on that money? Because realistically, people should be wearing their seatbelts, they should be speeding, those types of things, so they shouldn't have that revenue, so it should be counted on. So I'm very suspect of the government as far as why they're doing what they're doing, even though I think seatbelts, again, are the right way to go. I say to you all out there, if you have questions about this and you don't like it, you think it doesn't seem right, it should be your personal choice whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it. Write your congressman, that's what I did. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Have a good day.